So thank you. Okay. My name's Dan McDowell, and I'm actually at the district level. I'm not at a school site, but I'm the Director of Instructional Technology for the Grossmont Union High School District, and we are just outside San Diego, and we got our second dose of rain this last weekend since March. So you know, we're happy to get the rain. But my talk today is Open is a state of mind building innovative K-12 curriculum. And I know we've talked a lot about OER so far, but I just want to make sure the context is clear. An open resource is in the educational terms, is a learning asset that is open to be edited, changed, modified, etc. In my district, we are looking for some subjects to take open resources along with all the free great resources out there that still have copyright, but we can link to, and replacing textbooks with them. So we're trying to break away from the traditional textbook model. In a different way, we at a district level, we pay for our textbooks as opposed to the community college model and the university model where students pay for their textbooks, but that savings is still important savings that we can do. As well, I think it does a lot more for the students in the classroom. So our journey today is going to be starting with some context. Why did we go down this route? Looking at some of the challenges and then some of the lessons learned. So to start off, we're gonna go back to 2006. So that's my classroom in 2006. So before becoming this job, I taught history, web design, journalism, photography, among other things, at West Hills High School in the district that I currently work with, and where I went to high school as well. So in 2006, my boys were 4 and 2. My daughter wasn't born yet, but she says hi too. And I just adopted a new book for my AP World History class. I also have a big stack of college prep World History class books on the counter next to it. And that book, we were very proud of getting new books because there was money wasn't around, wasn't a lot of money for new books, but we got those books. And then I'm going to fast forward to us about 2 weeks ago. They begrudgingly recreated that in the same room, different desks, but their attitudes here are very much reflective of their attitudes, So and actually, I always like to include pictures of my children in my presentations, even though they hate it. But I wanted to say it because if you look closely, it's the same book on the same page, and that learning asset has stayed the same for 12 years. And when I started teaching at the school, West Hills High School, I had inherited another book that had been in place since when I was in high school. And those things they're static or stagnant. And so it's really important for us to think about where the core of the curriculum is coming and how does that impact the instruction, because I'm more about instruction than I am content. I'm going to go back one more time, back in time even further to 1987. 1987, I was a sophomore in high school, same age as my middle boy there. And this was the textbook that I got for pre-calculus, honors pre-calculus, I believe. Mr. Liebernick, period 3, and I got this book. I was the first one to get it. And 2 years ago, I got this image from the librarian of Valhalla High School in my district saying, "Hey, I found your pre-calc book. I'm retiring it." 29 years later. So that learning asset has been in place for that long. And so again, think about this, how the instruction all depends on the teacher, but if you're using that same resource, how static is the instruction? So that's sort of what we're gonna be going. And just to give you some context, that was me. Dang it. 5 years ago, I left the classroom. One of the most difficult decisions of my life. Left the classroom to take this Director of Instructional Technology job. And it was right at the time when Common Core testing was starting, and we needed to roll out Chromebooks. We ended up picking Chromebooks as our device because we needed to do state testing. Well, state testing's fine and all, and I have mixed opinions, as everybody does. But what state testing allowed us to do was buy Chromebooks. And for me, I was always a techie person. I have a master's in ed tech. I was programming BASIC back in 1983, which is really early on. And so even though I was a history teacher, I always had this sort of tech side to me. And so this really gave me an opportunity to pursue, beyond my own classroom practices, trying to spread this educational technology, innovation-based system of teaching. So And that's important because the classroom tools are changing. In 1996, when I started teaching, these were the tools I had. Colored paper, some glue, pull-down maps. Those were so great. I was so happy to get those, and they were so ineffective. My Google image search was a big box of National Geographics that I had in cupboards, all right? Today, the tools are changing, and if you're not familiar with all of these are amazing tools that allow interactive activities in the classroom, that allow kids to, allow teachers to chunk reading, so they can read better on a screen. It allows them to create multimedia, so many dynamic, amazing things. We have to make sure we are providing our students opportunities to do that, all right? And what I really wanted to do was build a culture of innovation. And at first it seemed like maybe it was a trap, okay? But it wasn't. It's an opportunity for teachers to evolve, rethink, redesign their instructional practices. Because while I had amazing teachers in the late 80s at Valhalla High School, the way they taught is not the way today's students learn. And so I noticed that right away in my teaching career. 6 years after I graduated high school, that I couldn't do the same thing that I had done. I couldn't teach as I was taught. And so we have to continue to think about our educational practices. We need our classrooms to be more student-centered, inquiry-based, skills-based, and we need to use technology. We also need to know when not to use technology. But we can't, we have 180 school days. I say if you're using technology 180 days in your history class, that's too many. If you're using it 3, that's too few. Where's your balance? All right? And all this while supporting all our teachers, all our learners. Our students all have different needs. We have special ed students. We have English language learners. We have struggling students. We have students of different cultural backgrounds sitting in every teacher's class. We need to make sure we are addressing all of their needs. And we do this not by saying at the district level, do this. We do this by by empowering the teachers to do that work. By giving them the opportunities and giving them the permission to take those instructional risks, to go the extra mile, to do that next thing that might be different than what they've always done or how they were taught. One of the things I did early on is I started having workshops, rolling out Chromebook carts and showing teachers the potential. And what I saw is these pockets of amazing stuff happening. So I created a program called the GUHS Tech Google Ninja program. And it really started with the logo. And because that's pretty cool, right? And we all have T-shirts, okay? So we you laugh, but this is a badge of pride here, and this is actually version 2 of 4 versions of the T-shirt. We just distributed another version of it in the last month, and basically what we're doing is getting teachers together from across our 10 schools. So we have about 16,500 students across 10 schools, about 800 teachers total, 750, 800 teachers. And we get them from across disciplines, across schools together to talk about innovative practices. This is not just cooler ways to use Google Slides. It's not that at all. It's how do we get students to own their learning? How can we push the instructional practices further? And that's been a very important part of what we've done. Now, right at this time, this is taken in 2015, so this is the second group. Right at this time, we're also talking about okay, so now we're stuck in 2 places. We have our curriculums and textbooks, but we're using these new tools. And we started with Chromebooks and carts, and now we are a one-to-one district that we started 3 years ago. So right as we were going one-to-one, every kid gets a Chromebook to take home. And it's theirs for 4 years, and then as a senior, they can buy it for $20. So we are having those discussions of that balance between the technology and then where the curriculum is located. And that's when OER came into my life. And it was right at the time when the Go Open movement, which is a national movement that came out of the Office of Educational Technology from the White House. And mind you, in 2015, we were invited to come to the kickoff, and that was an amazing experience. My superintendent, former superintendent, on the right, got us an invitation, and somehow he got me on the list as well. I was the lowest ranking person in the room. But it was an amazing, inspirational opportunity to really kind of be part of this thinking bigger about replacing textbooks with these open resources. So we come back, we make a plan. Well, the plan was, I think it was a pretty solid plan. It's changed a lot in 2.5, 3 years. And there's some challenges that we faced along the way. The first was this had to be about the teachers, okay? This had to be about not the district office saying, do this. It had to be, do you want to do this first to teachers, and then they get to control the process. The second challenge was making sure it was systematic and scalable, not singular. I think I did a pretty good job building a world history curriculum for my students, and US history and photography and all that, but it was just me, or me with a small team of teachers that are working together. We need something that could cover 10 schools, okay, and lots of teachers, lots of world history teachers, lots of biology teachers. So it had to be systematic and it had to be scalable because we didn't want to reinvent the wheel for each project. It was also a difference between creation and curation. One of the first things teachers freaked out about is, I don't want to write a textbook. No, I don't want you to write a textbook either, okay? I don't want to write a textbook, but we can curate the materials. And the internet's full of amazing stuff. It's also full of some terrible stuff too, and a lot of stuff in between. So one of the first things we made sure is that it had anything that made it into our curriculum collection had to be vetted, had to be high quality. And we made a rubric based on the Achieve rubrics that every single thing was checked. You know, every single thing had a superior rating based upon the team of teachers that went through each thing. We also had 3 layers of resources, have 3 layers of resources. The top is core content, so that's like our textbook. We have to have a textbook. State of California says you have to have a textbook for a class. So we have created a top-level core content part of our materials, and that's all based on open resources. Because what we found is teachers were generally abandoning the textbook because it wasn't flexible. They needed something, and I can remember doing this, go to page 242, read the first paragraph, skip to page 245, read the next 2 paragraphs, skip to, and so now if a teacher wants to do that, they just delete the stuff in between and copy and paste it or reorder it, so they have control over that. We also were building instructional resources around it as well, lessons, because it's again about that instruction. We also were it was very important for us to think about that these need to be dynamic, that they need to live on, that we were going to continue to modify them and update them and not have that static document like we did before. Now, a few of the lessons learned. The first one is time and commitment. So it's going to take time. We are 3 years in. I thought maybe we'd be where we are now after the first year, okay? And so we realized early on that that wasn't going to be the case. And it's a commitment. It's a commitment to that time. It's also a commitment to resources. So we need to make sure that we're paying teachers for their time. Again, they are the most important piece of this. And so we have that. And it's also, like I said, the long-term commitment. So this is one of the big things that are out there. What would you, about OER, would you like a free beverage or a free puppy? Okay, so the thing is in a minute, that beverage is gone. And the puppy, you have to groom and you have to raise and you have to clean up after and you have to continue on. That's how we're approaching these OER resources, is that this is a long-term commitment, okay? And we're not going to just one and done it. All right. The next lesson learned is it's about the people. So we have a whole bunch of people that are doing the work. I get to sit up here and tell you about the work. They're doing the work. You know, my biggest role right now is kind of just facilitating, signing timesheets, and making sure everything is rolling. Our team leads Don, Anthony, Savannah, Annika, and Franz. And a big shout out to Franz Ruiz, who is the science mastermind. He's a digital learning coach, works for me as a science teacher as well. And he has done some amazing work putting this all together. It's about them doing the work. If they didn't want to do the work, we wouldn't be doing it. And they're owning the work. It is theirs, and therefore they have complete buy-in to it. So a few last things is open is never settling for good enough. You got to keep going. You got to get to great. Even when you're great, get to great. There's probably something after that. Open is believing in all our learners and making sure we're addressing all their needs. Open is embracing change. It's not a bad word. We gotta understand that the times are changing. These things have changed everything, for better or for worse. But we have to adapt to that. We have to make sure that we are still teaching our kids to learn in that environment. Open is embracing and living an innovator's mindset. Open is a state of mind. So thank you. All the resources that we've created and we've done are on our website. And you can certainly, I'll be around for the next 2 days. If you have any questions, happy to answer them. Thank you very much.